Recording.
Sweet.
How's it going?
This is episode 4.
This is episode 4.
Nice, George. Episode 4, dude. George, do you really think we'd make it this far?
I don't know if I thought we'd make it to 4. 3. I could believe in 3, but 4. This is uncharted territory.
This is unprecedented. Yeah.
Okay. Well, everybody, we cheated a little bit. I called Hunter the other day, and I had an idea for something that we should do, and Hunter agreed with the idea. So we decided we want to try something out, where Hunter and I have each found, or collectively, we found a couple myths from various pantheons, histories, stories, cultures, and we want to see what is that myth about. Like, what's the basic plot, story, whatever of the myth, and then we need to develop mechanics so that conceivably somebody could play out that myth. Is that the right page there? Have I explained that properly, Hunter?
I feel like what would be good is to have a doc, and I think you made this doc
Yes.
right before the show, was just have these myths on hand, and we could definitely add to them if we ever think of any down the line.
Yeah.
And just kind of have a little bundle of myths that we could access as we're making this game if we ever have a question of how would this mechanic work in this one or this one or this one or this one, and kind of walk through them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Hunter, you have more than me because you're either more diligent or better researcher than I. What is one myth that, from real life, that you were able to look at that we could maybe start analyzing today?
Right. So one that I would like to point out this George had a comment in our 5-minute pre-show that
Are
is
illegal?
not accessible by any means. Unfortunately, not a $5 Patreon tier or anything like that. Coming soon. There's not many myths. It felt like in our research that there was the kind of interaction that we are maybe going for with this game, which isn't to say that the game necessarily needs to be changed. It's just that and in fact, it's kind of interesting. I feel like it shows how a lot of ancient myths have been warped by the way society has portrayed them. Because one big one that I thought was even though I've seen the movie, I've never read the book. And the movie actually doesn't have this in it either. I don't know why I thought Beowulf was going to be a really good one for this, because I was like, oh, that's an epic, that's a demigod kind of guy,
totally.
With other his followers and fighting monsters, but there's not really gods in Beowulf. I mean, someone feel free to rant at me in the comments if you want to, but from what I looked at reading it, there wasn't really anything like that. So that one was I was excited about, and then I read it and I was like, oh man, this isn't gonna work. But that's an
interesting one, because that does have a lot of good that would be a good one for combat and stuff, tactical fun combat. That could be something. But
right, exactly. But the one that was there's Beowulf, because I was trying to think of ancient his famous epics, and the Epic of Gilgamesh, I've never actually read it, but it actually has kind of what we're looking for, I think.
All right, Epic. I'm on this new document, Mechanics Needed from Real Life Myths. So we have the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Yeah, and just I'll read the brief Wikipedia summary.
Yeah.
So it's the first half is a Gilgamesh who's a king and a wild man who was created by the gods to stop Gilgamesh from oppressing his people. The guy becomes civilized, fights Gilgamesh, becomes his friend. Then they make a 6-day journey to fight to the legendary cedar forest, where they plan to slay the guardian, Humbaba the Terrible, and cut down sacred cedars. The goddess Ishtar sends the bull of heaven to punish Gilgamesh for spurring her advances. Gilgamesh and the guy kill the bull, after which the gods agree to kill him.
Oh my god. Okay.
Kill his friend. Sorry, kill his friend.
Yeah, okay,
Gilgamesh's friend. Man. Yeah, and then there's a second half where distress over his friend's death causes him to undertake a perilous journey to discover the secret of eternal life. And then there's some moral to it. And then some more stuff with gods and something about the Great Flood. And yeah, it's definitely got a lot of god and demigod interaction, not necessarily And maybe honestly, I felt like what's kind of interesting here is this myth presented a lot of opportunity maybe to have like NPC gods like interacting with the PC heroes.
Yeah, and
You
I
know,
think yeah, I think that's an important thing is we will have to mechanize some way that the GM can create NPC gods as in addition to NPC mortal characters.
right? Exactly. Like I was almost thinking like the idea of like it's almost similar to like in Blades, like you can get like offered packs by demons. There's even something called like Devil's Bargain and stuff. Like I almost feel like things like that can maybe come in either you know like as a rule mechanically ways to do that, or just having the ability for
Oh,
gods
so
to.
maybe I'll add that because this is just coming from our like a devil's bargain. I don't know if this is strictly from Gilgamesh at all,
Where
but
are you writing this right now? Oh,
in that new
mechanics.
dragon. So a devil's bargain, or what was the other one that you'd said? Or like a make a deal.
Like packs with adversarial slash like other gods maybe.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, so the adversarial NPC. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another one I think was like maybe like the idea of um like PC servants maybe not always having the same goals, especially with different gods. And that one's kind of a tricky one because you almost that sort of goes against the tactical nature, but like I feel like that was kind of an aspect of it too, where it's like this guy was his friend was like created to like stop him from oppressing his people, so it like wasn't really, they were at odds, right? So it'd be
It
interesting.
almost
Maybe
feels
yeah.
like in this situation, how I'm reading it, Gilgamesh would almost be like an NPC, and the Wild Man seems like it would be the player character in this situation.
Yeah, or the flip. I feel like in either way, right? I mean, it's hard
Yeah,
because
that's
like,
true.
because he's a guy oppressing his people, so maybe it's less likely. But I mean, maybe that's another thing that we could say is like the idea of like PC servants having a life, right? Like they like you're a ruler, or you're a sheriff, or you have something that you do when you're not embarking on like you know like what
Oh,
do you do
yeah.
when not questing, right?
And that would
You
be
know?
like a really interesting. Maybe we have a predetermined list of things that your player does, like um, almost like the moves from Dungeon World, where like your player can go on a quest in their downtime. Your player can, have a profession like be a mayor or
Right.
something. And we have a pre-made list of actions that your servants can take when you're not controlling them.
It could even be something that's not necessarily like beneficial or harmful. It could just be like it presents the start of a mission, right? Like the start of a mission, everyone rolls what their character was up to, and that sort of because maybe every mission, like I'm okay, so I'm going on like a creative train right now.
Yeah,
Maybe
go.
is like maybe it's like when a mission starts because like isn't like a big part of the of missions like kind of coming together as like your party, like sometimes
Yeah.
it's not divinely inspired, so maybe there's a part of the mission, maybe every like PC mission might have a asp of like some sort of like I don't know, it's hard because we could talk about this being tactical, but maybe it would be like somehow like you have to like solve the like how does everyone come together, like maybe that's not as it doesn't have to be as you know like a D&D thing where it's like, oh, how does your person know this guy? Maybe it's like literally like your guy is like in debt and is being hunted down by bounty hunters. Your guy is like doing this, and like you need to like
Yeah.
solve all of your
And that and
problems and then do the mission.
dude, and that could also help explain this, where
Oh
maybe okay.
yeah,
So I like what you just said with the bounty hunter. So maybe Hunter, you're playing a god, and and in the mortal world, you're gonna have your servant Achilles, and I'm totally making up a new story here. You're gonna have your hero Achilles is gonna go do some mission, but Then when you get into the mortal world, what's Achilles been up to? Well, he's being hunted by bounty hunters. So he needs money. So that might influence how you have to play Achilles to keep him alive. Is, yeah, you got to do your god's mission, but also you need to find some coin along the way to pay off these bounty hunters.
Oh, I don't know. That's hard. I like that. The only problem I have with like that kind of thing is like, I feel like in a lot of myths, it's like, it's not like they're mortal, like what they go and do and what they do in their downtime is very separate from what the actual quest is,
yeah,
right?
That's true. Yeah.
Like typically most of these myths, I feel like it's like they were doing this like boring ass like mortal shit, and they had to like sometimes solve it at the start. But then when this actual mission started, that they were sold on it, right? Like, or the quest started, they weren't like, they didn't like carry like baggage with them, as they kind of went. I mean, I guess one counter to that would be like, who's the guy, the Odyssey, right? Where isn't he like trying to get back to his wife or something like that? Yeah, he's
trying to get back to his home. Yeah.
So like maybe not. I don't know. I do like that.
Here's something, and maybe this is where we should have gone. Is I tend to think that in a lot of stories, there's always some reward that is being given to these mortals going on a quest. So maybe you as the god, when you're going to summon your servant to do something, and maybe it's only if it's a human servant, you need to ante up some reward, some promise that you're able to give them. For
I like that. Yeah. Like you owe... Oh, like you have to pay your followers somehow.
You have to. Yeah. Your hero is going to go do your thing, but he's not going to do it for free. He loves you, but you got to give him some gold or something, or give him a journey ticket back home to his wife or whatever.
Wait. I got a couple ideas here. What if we have so we have peace servants not always the same goals. So like maybe PCs start in a tight bot, possibly against each other, but come together or something.
I don't like the idea of them starting against each other. I don't like.
Well, I was thinking what might be kind of fun with this would be like, what if it was like every mission was like, so like what if we like, because I'm trying to think like, we don't want it to be like some big thing, right? We want something like that to be resolved in like 30 minutes, like in terms of roles and role playing. But like, what if it was something where like one PC is like the is whatever the the debtor, and then like one of the bounty hunters is one of the other PCs, and they have to like, and like at the beginning they both like have their calling to like do this thing, or there's some divinely inspired like mission that takes place, but they have to resolve that situation they've been put in at the start. So we could almost have like a simple roll table or something like that, where it's like an easy way to generate that scenario. So like that could be like bounty hunters. It could also be like, someone's like about to be like, killed. It's always like something that's like, solvable fairly easy in the moment. But it's like, it's kind of like a way that they can all like come together or something. I don't know. I think that if we can make it simple, we have to keep it simple though, right? Because it's like, if it gets too much, it's just going to become what the whole mission is. Right?
Yeah, we definitely don't want that. We definitely want it to be.
Maybe I'll say like keep simple.
And maybe it's not always there. Maybe it's not always a thing. Maybe it's almost like a roll table where every player roll, and maybe like if you maybe you roll a d10, say for example.
Well,
and if you roll like a 1 through an 8, you're fine. If you roll a 9, you're indebted to someone, and if you roll a 10, someone's in debt to you. Maybe that's what it's like or something.
Right. Well, what else I was thinking is would be interesting is like, what if it's like, so what you were saying, right, with the whole like, you have to have a reason to get your followers going, is like, what if you actually have some sort, what if the gods have some sort of like currency, or like, or maybe not even currency, but they have like a gift resource pool, or like something like that. And they have like a way that they like, and you have to have the right kind of resource to get your right kind of follower going.
Like to get a human follower, you have to do this. To get a monstrous follower, you have to do this.
Right.
Yeah.
Like they each have their own resource. So then like that could almost be part of like missions, is like collecting.
The gods have a gift resource used to get servants to act for them. and maybe it's something where if you're truly out of the gift resource, your servants will still do something. But maybe is there some way we could mechanize a bonus for having a servant? Like if I'm gonna have Hercules go on this mission, yeah, it's not gonna do much. But if I say, hey Hercules, you go on this mission, and Meg from Disney's Hercules is gonna fall in love with you, whoa, that might that could be something great, right? So maybe there's some way it just improves your performance or your stats, or maybe it somehow gives more like reroll points, maybe, or more fate points to the mortal players. I don't know, like inventing those mechanics there, but it could be something like that.
Oh, what if it was like wait, gift act for them or can be like what if it or can be used on servant missions to influence like NPCs, so you could get someone to like help you, like the god, like you'd be like the god, like I think it's hard because it's like you don't want the god to just become like a merchant, right? You don't want him to be like, I buy your services. He's not like a rich guy who like I don't know, I'm conflicted. I like the idea, but I almost feel like this should be something that's very situational.
Yeah.
Like it's something where like you could maybe you can use it to get like a bonus, give your follower a bonus.
Yeah.
Like maybe every follower has like a desire, and if the god meets that desire, they like get something or something like that.
Definitely. I almost think it'd be a good idea for us to halt this thing and go to another story and see what conversations we have there, and then maybe between the two we'll have some idea on some rule or mechanic we can...
I was going to say maybe instead it's only used to give bonuses, not required.
Yeah, yep, yeah, I think that's good.
Or I guess it would be like, it's like a goal, or a life goal to fulfill.
Oh, that would be interesting. Like, you can set, like, whatever. Yeah, that could be interesting.
Okay.
Then your servants have, like, a long-term mission almost, which would be interesting.
Right. So what's one of your myths?
Well, you might actually enjoy this one because you were more into, I shouldn't say more into. You had an interest in the politicking and the gods' relationships amongst each other, the role-playing there.
Right.
And so I refamiliarized myself with the story of Persephone and Hades.
Oh, right. That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's I watched a brief TED Ed video about it, which told the story. And there's really no involvement with the mortal world. That's like really not involved at all. So it's entirely gods to gods storytelling.
Okay.
Basic plot for you, and to remind the audience what it's all about. Basic plot is Hades falls in love with Persephone, who lives in the Mount Olympus, and Hades lives in the underworld, which maybe makes me think, should gods have their own places they live? Whatever. So Hades falls in love with Persephone, and he gets permission to basically kidnap her and bring her down. Yeah, it's kind of icky in that way. And he brings her down to the underworld, and then Persephone's mother, Demeter, who's the goddess of fertility, gets mad at Hades, and Hades pulls a little bit of trickery here, but Persephone also falls in love with him, and it basically ends up where Zeus makes them come to an agreement that Persephone will spend half the year in the underworld with Hades and half the year in Mount Olympus with her mother, Demeter. And during these 6 months when Persephone is away, Demeter said, yeah, well, I'm not going to let any food grow, and that's why we have the seasons, is because Demeter is letting crops die when her daughter's away. And that's how they explain the seasons in the Greek pantheon. So, lot to unpack there, but the entire story is about gods dealing with gods and coming to agreements. There's no fighting. It's just, no physical fight. Nobody's throwing fists here. But yeah, and I don't really want this game to be at all about like relationships or romance or anything, because Zeus is a questionable figure for all that kind of stuff, But this could be the basis for how gods could interact with one another in this game. How the immortal gods could interact.
Right. You just gave me a great idea of that too.
Oh, I
Like,
see that.
what if there was like, what if you like kind of built the world while you played too?
Yeah, definitely.
Like what? Like you could like God's beauty or something like I don't even know how you do that. We don't want to get too ambitious with this, but I was thinking that might be a fun way to like, especially
No,
to make
you're
the
right.
maybe make the god like phase more fun. Is that the gods can actually like build the world itself?
Yeah.
Like the gods could. Oh, what if the gods like every game, each god could like decide to add something or something like
Well,
that.
so
Like
yeah, I agree. So
right.
here's a thought that I've been having, and maybe
Oh, yeah.
this is a good place to put in, would be
Yeah.
how I maybe see the game happening is that the game
Right.
always starts with the gods, and the GM, this is when the GM would maybe outline what is happening this session, what this session's going to be about, right? He's outlining a story, or he's helping the players decide their own story, whatever. So at the beginning of the session, you're playing as the gods, a story or a problem is being presented, and the gods need to choose how their mortals are going to help solve this problem. At the end of each session, you go back to the gods, and that is when each god makes some big change to the world, or like you were saying, they get to make some addition to the world or some change to the world. So
yeah.
in this example, it would almost be Demeter's character or Demeter's player at the end of this session says, yep, okay, we came to this conclusion where Persephone's going to spend half the year with Hades, half the year with me, but when she's not with me, it's going to be winter, and there's nothing's going to grow. And then in future sessions, we always know that, okay, it's winter right now, so yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. You could you could like world build while you do it.
Exactly. So each session, each player would develop the world in their own new way. So start each session with gods, outlining the problem of the session. Mid-session is on the mortal world trying to solve. End of session is back with the gods, and they each make a change addition to the world. Yeah,
I love that. Yeah, that's awesome.
now, unfortunately, like this isn't a direct comparison because, like, for example, in this story of Persephone, there is no mortal session. There's no mortal part to it.
Right. But like, I feel like it's like this is what we were saying. We're like, it's not like there's the idea of what this game is, and there's the reality of what this game is like coming from, right? It's kind of like how like westerns have grown beyond, like they're far beyond what actually happened, right? They're their own beast at this point, but you can make like they things that relate to the fake stuff sounds more true than stuff that relates to the real stuff.
Right.
Because in people's minds, so it's like there's nothing wrong with playing to like the fake reality.
We are making the decision that in our telling of mythology or the creation of this, there's always a relation between the gods and the mortals in every session. And that's
what if there was like
telling this game.
Intermission of mortal phase where gods not playing or gods in general can do stuff like role play.
What do you mean gods not playing? Do you mean like people who aren't there at a session?
Or such? No, so like I feel like it'd be funny if like let's say you were doing like the mortals are trying to like whatever, they're trying to like slay the Cyclops or something like that because he's stolen the princess of a nearby kingdom. Okay. What if it's like it's like the gods are like, and this would almost be nice to have like a forced upon mid-session break, and it would be like you find some nice moment where there's a lull, take a break, and then you would have like the gods could like, I don't know, like I mean I don't want it to just be like role play because I feel like it'd be dumb to just like force people to role play. But what if there was like some way to like we could like snap back to like the god realm, and there'd be gods like watching this happen, or like maybe I don't know if we talked about how sometimes people might not be playing like active, like have their servants sent. So like the god could basically just
I think
like,
you'd
you
always
know,
have a servant sent, because otherwise you like wouldn't even be doing anything at the session.
yeah,
Right?
well, I don't know. We had spoken earlier about maybe having that as an
I
ability.
think
I don't
had
know.
envisioned that as more like if you weren't going to be able to physically make it to the game that day.
Oh, okay.
That's what I. Well, no, but I like this idea, and I think it's good because one, I think every game should have an intermission for sessions. Like that's good.
Right.
But also, you could do it where, yeah, if you want to like role play a conversation with somebody else at the table and they want to as well, you could do that. But I think you could also do something where it could be really simple, like, oh, I think my god talks to Hunter's god about how stupid this is, and then maybe you would tell me
Right.
how your god, and like it's literally I say one sentence about how my god acts, you can respond with how your god also is thinking, and that's like we don't have to actually role play the conversation.
What if it was like a way to like reduce metagaming? Like, because it's like technically the gods can always talk to each other, so like it would be a way where you could be like, "That's fucking stupid," or like, you know, you could like it was like a way, you know, I don't know if I'm trying to think of a good way to implement it, but like because it's like gods, you know, gods could operate the way like, you know, how when we're playing D&D, we're sitting around a table, and metagaming's where like, you know, you'll say something that the other person won't know. But if you're gods, it doesn't matter, right? Like you.
Oh wait,
do
you're
know.
always role playing as your god because you could always say that was a really stupid thing you did there, and that would be like what the
Right.
god is saying.
Right, exactly. You're like some stupid, like you're sitting there like eating grapes. You're like, that's fucking, you know, fucking dumb as hell. You try. It's
Yeah,
just like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So I don't even know if I don't even know if we need to mechanize this intermission.
well, I'd leave it as a comment
Okay,
because
yeah,
I think
yeah.
it'd be good to write it in because I think
Yeah.
we didn't think of this before, so it's definitely something worth
So
writing.
maybe I'm just gonna make a new anatomy of a session. I'm gonna write this here.
Well, whoa. I feel like that's its own doc right there. You're about to write.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Why don't for now I'm gonna put it in the stream of consciousness because it's
Okay.
not nailed down. So I'm just gonna go to the bottom of the stream of consciousness document.
Maybe at the bottom just say we should say write a anatomy of a session doc at
Yeah.
some point.
Right. And I'm just gonna put the ideas that we have right now of a session. So the ideas right now are that you would introduce the problem, Immortal World. You would
Converse and well,
right.
wait, well, I mean, I feel like there should be a breath taken in the immortal world where people can like talk about it.
Well,
and,
yeah,
like,
sorry, and I mean like yeah, this would be all of that stuff. Yeah.
maybe
problem.
introduce and discuss or something.
Yeah. And maybe in this intermission, there's.
Well, do we
chance
want? No, this
for
is kind of what we were
some-
saying, right? Like, do we still want the intermission?
Well, yeah,
I
I'm
almost
not
feel
sure.
like-
Maybe we
Okay.
don't, but maybe there's also something where like a god can do a minor action here, like
Right.
to influence, but maybe not. Finish solving the problem, or establish a cliffhanger for next time. Like if it ain't gonna finish,
Right.
you know, whatever. That's in the mortal world. And then end of session. Gods change, add to the world building. And that's the immortal world. So I do like that idea that we always start and end in the immortal world, but the meat of the maybe not the meat, but then the doing of the world is done in the mortal world.
Right, and then
I think
maybe
it's cool.
this should be like receive rewards.
I think that would
Slash
be here though.
upgrade.
Wouldn't that be finished on
Well,
there?
what if it's a god like immortal, like because I feel like this would be immortal and mortal, right?
Oh sure, your upgrades, yeah, you're right. Because that's almost like the meta part of the game where it's not actually
Right.
there's no role playing. This is like the
Yeah, that's like the everyone's level 5 at the end of a D&D session. They all like
Exactly,
pick
yeah.
their stuff, kind of.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. And I like that we have some. And none of this is again written in stone, but it's nice to have some idea of maybe
Right.
what it might look like. Okay, let's do maybe one more myth today. If you have one more
Okay.
that you want to share with us, and we can come up with that, and then maybe we should actually try
Yeah.
and mechanize some of these things that we've discussed.
Right.
But maybe
So
try and get one more. So what do you got?
I've got here. I got three. You can tell me which one you want. So the first one is the Lightning Thief, because we talked about modern adaptations of so we know what that is. The other one, then I have, it is also a modern adaptation, Moana. I felt like was a good one.
Yeah.
And then this one I think is actually interesting because I didn't even think of it, and it's actually two. It's the Old Testament and it's the New Testament, because both of these have, like I think that like they're actually, the more I thought about it, the more I was like, they're actually both kind of perfect. Like the New Testament is literally Jesus, a demigod, with his bros like going around and like trying to solve problems, and like there's a god in it. There's the devil. We talked about having worlds where there's only one, maybe I feel like it'd be hard to do a two god world or something. But you could maybe, in that sense, treat
this would be like one player, one DM kind of situation. This is the road trip version of the game. Or
you could even do like the Trinity as three different people, right?
Yeah,
like you could have the Holy Spirit be one person. This sounds like some sort of like stupid like youth camp. Like I'm trying to promote Christianity or something. But like
the youth pastor at Vacation Bible School.
Yeah, exactly. Hey guys, we'll all play. We can play as the three in one.
You have to make sure that you're sitting backwards in your chair when you're like talking to the kids about it.
Right.
Hey kids.
Oh my god. The Old Testament is probably even better because it's got like a lot more like epic things happening. It's a lot more like brutal in terms of like interesting. So I definitely think the Old Testament would be, and
God
those
was
are kind of
his A game here, but then he added his avatar when you got to this one,
Right, and these are almost ones where I feel like we probably couldn't break them down now. I just kind of want to put them there as like a.
No, those are good ideas, definitely.
Yeah, especially if we need the sort of dichotomy of the, like one good, one bad, like because it's very like monotheistic or whatever.
So I'll tell you in bringing up this, I did try. I was brainstorming this idea, and then I realized it really doesn't apply to our situation, but it's cool to think about nonetheless. I was going to see if we could use Thor from the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh.
But then I remembered, well, they kind of play very loosely with the idea of that gods can be in the physical world because there's not really a immortal. It's all one world, and so I said no, it's probably not applicable to our situation. But I tried that one.
There's got to be like one of those because there's also like Doctor Strange, which has like Dormammu or whatever. Who's like that evil like god, and then I don't know if there's an equivalent good person in that, but there's definitely something in Marvel probably somewhere in there that you could do. I think Moana, and actually I think Southeast Asian mythology is really good for this system because they have a lot of direct god influence.
Yeah, well, let's go with Moana. That sounds like a fun one.
Okay.
So
to clarify, this is going to be Moana off the movie, everyone. So if you're actually
is it even a real story? Is it? I don't know.
Oh yeah. Maui is a real. Yeah, that's all. Real
I knew
shit.
he was. I didn't know if Moana's character was from it.
Oh, I don't. Probably not.
Well, it is a good story. It's well told and all that. So it is a good tale. Because in case you've lived under a rock and you haven't seen Moana in your life, correct me if I'm missing anything major, but the basic plot is a girl who's going to be the queen of her village or whatever tribe. She has to go unlock the key of her ancestors who were oceanfarers and give her tribe the ability to travel across the ocean again. And she has to get this information from the angry god. I don't remember what their name is.
Chosen by the ocean itself to reunite a mystical relic with the goddess Fiti. I butchered that. When a blight strikes her island, Moana sets sail in search of Maui, a legendary
this is actually really helpful for us.
Yeah,
because
and this is actually a great example of
my god, yeah.
And this is also a great example of a silly world that you could make, right? Where obviously, again, this is Moana the film. The Moana the actual, or in the actual mythology, Maui and all that stuff might be more violent or something. I don't know, but like
we're talking
I feel like this is a good
Disney film
example
right here.
Right, this is more fun, right? Like where you don't have to be as serious with it.
Because realistically, somebody could play as in my head, somebody could play as Moana.
Moana and Maui probably would be the two, right?
But also, I think somebody isn't her like doesn't she have a pig named Pabu or something?
Oh, it's
And
the
the
animal.
Hey
Yeah.
Hey is the chicken too. You could play as that, and you could play a bigger role maybe than they did in the movie. But
Oh,
you
that's
could
a good
play as
idea.
those characters, right?
Right. Maybe we could say like, maybe we should just say like Disney in general might be good. I should probably just use actual English. A good place to look for animal
Yeah.
servants that are actually useful.
Yeah, totally. Well, and yeah, you got to think like all the Disney stories, especially like I'm thinking like Cinderella has all those mice, right? That
Oh,
would be
right.
yeah, very
Well, I
useful
actually
there.
just watched Sinbad, which now that I'm thinking about it, was actually a perfect one for this as well. I don't
I
know
don't know
why
if
I
I've seen
didn't.
that. I've not seen that, so
I watched it when I
um,
was a kid, and I rewatched it yesterday because I was like, it's just one of those movies where like I feel like I've caught up in all my nostalgia Disney movies, and that one had just been on my list, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna watch Sinbad. So, but there's a dog in it. It's
oh,
actually sorry,
okay.
I'm gonna go on a little tangent here because
Yeah, do it.
I think it's interesting though, and George, I think you'd find this interesting. Is like if you ever get a chance to watch it, it's really weird, like the vibe it is, because it's a pirate. Like Sinbad is this pirate, or I guess a bandit, more accurately, and it's set during the Greek era of the Mediterranean. So it's really
Okay.
weird because it's like piracy mixed with like Greek mythology. And I don't actually know if Sinbad is from Greek mythology, if they just like like put him in as
Sure,
like the
yeah.
name or something. But like it's just a really odd, like you watch it, it's not like I feel like like Moana is very like it has that like Polynesian vibe, like very strong. You kind of expect all the like choices they make, even if you don't know anything about the Polynesian culture. But like I feel like Sinbad was so like, what is this movie? It's like it felt like a D&D game, right? Where like someone kind of like just came up with it.
Yeah,
But
and
I
like
don't know.
that could yeah, no, that yeah, I could see that
Yeah,
being the vibe of this game too, where like yeah, everyone's
yeah.
on the Greek theme, and then one dude's like, "No, I'm gonna play an Egyptian god," and like doesn't really fit in, but like it works. I can totally see that happening.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Um, oh,
So
that's
anyway,
awesome.
Moana. So let me.
Well, I was
Okay,
gonna
so
say this is almost
yeah.
what we just spoke about with the anatomy of a session. This almost fits that really well. Okay, so we're playing the immortal world, and okay, there's the problem. There's this village that all your followers live on, and there's blight. So you need to go find out how you can travel the ocean again. Bam. That's the
Right,
inciting incident, right? That's the beginning of the session. So then all the
right.
gods need to. It is the responsibility of the players to establish why their god cares about the problem presented, right? That is your responsibility
Oh,
as a player. Why do you care if this village has a blight, right?
so GM gives general problem, and players indicate their investment in it.
Definitely, yeah. And it
So
could be there
yeah.
could be a session where like um, maybe your character maybe you don't care as much one session, maybe you do others, and I think that's fine. But if you're playing the game, you're into it, right? Just like in any
Right.
role playing game, there's going to be the thing where this is Hunter's character is doing their big quest today. I'm just the side character. But one session, I might have my big thing. So
Oh
like, yeah,
yeah, like each player has a, or it may, like depending on the mission. I guess this would almost be like a sub, like
yeah,
depending on the mission, a player may have less or more investment.
definitely, yeah. And
Right.
like that's not even unique to us. That is just a thing that happens in role playing games.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
okay, so then in Moana, then we like learn who this girl is, and we learn like who her family is, and then soon enough we meet Maui as well. So within probably the first third of the film, I'm going to guess we've established who the characters are, and that would be in our case the introduction of the servants that are playing this game, right? So
Sorry,
that
can you repeat
works.
that one more time?
How in the first third of the film, roughly, we're introduced to all of the main characters, which in our case would be all of the servants, right? So we meet Moana and the fucking pig and chicken and Maui all within probably the first 30 minutes. So it's pretty quick. And I
Right.
imagine that's how it would go in the game too. Is that there needs to be like a introductory phase for the servants, and could be quick if they have been played a lot. Could be longer if they are new. So if say maybe I've been playing Moana for the last 4 sessions. Like she's my
Right.
go-to character. There wouldn't be much introduction for her. Maybe why she's at this location would be it. But if you are
Yeah.
introducing, hey, this stupid chicken, we might need some. Who is this? What's this chicken all about? Right? We might need some more
Right.
from you.
Oh my god, I
but-
love this idea. You could just have like a chicken as one of your
Yeah.
servants.
So maybe we'll need to mechanize this. Maybe this would be a good mechanic for us. to
I
maybe
think
hammer.
no,
home
I
today.
agree, and I'm gonna add to this and say like,
Yeah.
I like the players can or what would this be servants maybe can be unlocked or introduced mid-session. So like an example would be like you discover a chained minotaur or something, right? Like or something like that. Like where you discover a chained elemental that you release or something. And so maybe that would be like, because I'm almost thinking how the reason I would put this under Moana is because she starts off without Maui, right? Like she starts off on her quest without him, and she unlocks him essentially. And I don't know if that would be her, maybe you're playing as the chicken, I'm playing as the pig, and someone's playing as Moana. If then, one of us would take over him, or the DM would play him, or he's unlocked for another mission.
Maybe you could trade out too. Like if is that if you're saying maybe I played as, because I think this actually happens in the movie. Let's say I'm playing as the pig, and then I realize 10 minutes in, okay, this pig is going to be useless here. You know what, guys? I'm not going to play as the pig anymore. You guys keep going. I'm going to jump in later with a different guy. And then you guys play for another 10 minutes, and then I come back. Actually, I'm going to play as Maui this session. That's going to be the serpent I go with.
Right. So maybe say unlocked / switched.
Yeah, I think that's really important to also
what if? Yeah, I feel like that could also be a cool thing of you didn't want to. Let's say you had one servant and he was really powerful. And I mean, I feel like you'd start at full health every time, but let's say there was some reason you didn't want to send your servant on this mission or something. You could say I'm gonna chill in the background, and then if someone comes in later, maybe you could take over then or something like that.
We'd already established that, and we could change this, but I think we already established that your servants are predetermined. You don't get to make a new one necessarily every game. You have the servants that you have.
Right. I don't. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to think.
Maybe it would be more fun that you can make a new servant each time. I'm not sure, but then again, I like what we had created the other day, where you have your servants that you always play as.
Well, we could also have it where maybe we should say you have to start a mission with a servant. But you can unlock them, you can switch them, you can have them introduced later.
Whoa!
But what if they kind of go into a pool or something like that? So it's you would unlock Maui, and then you play as Maui, and then the mission would end, and then you could I think we should have a system where you could just dump your pig and pick up Maui or something like that. But you could also have it where maybe you didn't have any slots available. You could just say that Maui is out there, and he can always come back and join you if you want to pick him in the future as one of your followers.
Yeah,
or something like that.
I was gonna say this would be in counter to what you had just said. This would be a different way to handle the same situation, where you don't have to start right. Not everybody has to start with their servant right away. You can voluntarily say, "I'm actually going to wait." And in fact, I think most of the time, not everybody would start at the same time. It might be that your character, Hunter, you decide that you want to start. You're playing as Moana. You want to start right away, and
Mhm.
I am Maui, and I'm gonna wait a little bit, and then maybe it's actually on you, Hunter, on the whoever's. Okay, let me put this into words that make sense in a sentence.
Yeah, sure.
You start the game, Hunter.
Right.
You're the one who's most invested in this mission, so you're the first servant in. You choose the pace at which the other players are brought into the game.
Okay.
And so you might say something in the game, and this would put maybe some more pressure on the player, and the GM could help facilitate this, but you might say, yeah, and I go to this island, and I think I meet Hunter's servant. Or you would say, I think I meet George's servant. And then I would have to introduce, oh, I'm actually playing as Maui, and I've lived on this island. That might be something.
Yeah,
But-
yeah, like, yeah.
But then you run the risk of like somebody like just not getting it, like being bored for an hour waiting for it to be their turn, and that could
Right,
be not really
like,
fun.
That's what I was thinking too. I mean, it's hard because another cool thing I was thinking is like, what if the players, there's systems where like players are, it's like a player and GM collaborative like narrative.
Yeah.
What if it was like that with until you decide that you're playing a PC or something? So as long as you stay in God mode, you get to make influences on the world. But then the minute you like switch over to your player, like you have to affect the world from the mortal realm or something like that.
Oh, so like you can stay in God mode as late as you want, but eventually you're gonna have to switch over to the mortal world.
Right. It's kind of like in like Blades when you roll a crit, or in Star Force and Destiny when you roll a crit, where you get to like have something happen in the world, that is like makes sense narratively or something like that. But
What's really hard about this right now is that
Yeah.
we don't know enough of what gods can do, and we don't know enough about what servants. Well, we have a better idea about what servants do because we know that they can like fight and talk and stuff. But we don't know
Right.
enough about what gods' actions are to make these kind of calls. But yes, I agree that could be interesting where you can stay in God mode and then join as a servant.
Right. Like I worry about this like servant introduction thing because I know that like you and me are very like, we have like bigger personalities that we wouldn't have any issues probably just being like, oh, that guy, yeah, by the way, that guy, he turned, he slides up his arm and reveals that he's he has a snake tattooed around it, which is the sign of my
But
god.
other
or something.
folks might not be as improbable.
Right,
yeah.
they might just be like when do I get to come in, or something like that, right? Like
Yeah.
they might not like vibe as well with the narrative. And the other problem I'm seeing too is that we're trying to make Mortal Realm like more like tactical and like lethal, and I feel like it's kind of weird. Just like jump in, like I like bound in from like left stage or something into like our very tactical like attack on some group.
Yeah.
So it's like
I feel like I thought of this as well. Like, so
Yeah.
we're talking about Moana here. If you choose to have a whimsical game, I don't think that death has to be the option. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
if somebody's playing a whimsical game and like, yeah, your pig Pabu is stabbed with a Morgul blade and dies, like, I don't think that's required. It could be, the generic exiting the game kind of thing could happen.
Yeah. Well, so I think we're reaching an impasse here where we have I feel like we need to make some kind of call here because we have the super lethal like tactical game where it's literally like XCOM with gods, right? Or something
and
like,
then we have Pabu
sounds,
from Moana.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have Pabu, and we want to like hit the middle, but I just don't see like how that would work because I feel like if we go somewhere in the middle here, it's going to be shitty in both ways. Like, Pabu having like a set like D&D like character sheet stat line is stupid. Like no one wants that.
I think we need to err on the side of this should be more lethal. This should be more tactical. Yes.
Yeah.
The gods can be maybe the more lighthearted ones, but the mortal characters can die. So Pabu can get spit roasted. That is a possibility.
So maybe we should get rid of death as not. Well,
no, I think
maybe
it is the end.
Death,
I think they die. These are heroes, damn it. Heroes die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think like I'll get rid of it, but I think like another thing that could happen is like your player could like you could like lose like they could be taken over by like the enemy or like there's like other ways that you could have them like you can permanently lose your character.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say
yeah.
they have to die because I think that there's even there's worse things to die like to make the like dramatic quote that's in all those a lot of movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm trying. Let's just like I'm just gonna read through this Moana stuff. Okay.
I like that. Yeah, this is maybe the most important one. Yeah.
Secrets are exceptional. Yeah, I think the first one still is true. I think it's a good place to look for useful animal servants. Because it's not like you can't play a more silly game. You just have to accept that it's like and some might even say that like Greek myths are very silly and like most myths are silly, right? Like it's not I'd say like it's not very often that like an entire mythos is pretty dismal, or like super serious all the time.
Yeah.
I think that this is good where GM gives their own problem and players indicate their investment in it. I think that still would kind of go true.
I don't know if they need to indicate their like I am 3 out of 10 and they would just like it's almost like an unspoken thing that like you're not going to be the #1 fan of every session, but that's just like life, dude,
Right.
That's
right.
already said when you sit down at any tabletop role playing game that there are going to be some people who are more invested in a session than you. Any session. That is a possibility.
Right. I think
like for example, in a D&D game, if you have a bank heist one session, not everyone's going to be equally interested in bank heists in general. Versus if you were going to go save the princess, not everyone's going to care about saving a princess. That you can't please everybody all the time.
Right.
And
I almost think that like players shouldn't even have to indicate their investment at all, right? Because it's like most of the time, this is going to be them like ordering the players to just do it, right? Like
and I think
do
GM gives the general problem. Bam.
Yeah. Depending on mission. I think we could say like problem may relate to the players personally or something like that. Because I don't think there's like I think that's something we could take from Moana that would make sense, right? It's like I think we should still have the idea that your players have a life, and the problem could be that the troll carried off your the town mayor who happens to be your wife or something like that.
Well, no,
right?
It wouldn't be the god's wife.
Well, no, I was gonna say that the servants. One of the servants'
that would be
wife.
how you make your servants care about it. But when the problem is introduced, it's to the gods, right?
Right. Okay. Well, maybe we should say may relate to the mortals personally. Oh, wait. Well, maybe we should say your GM gives general problem, which directly impacts the gods, but the problem may relate to the players. So, like,
I don't think it directly impacts the gods. I think it directly impacts the world, but the problem may relate to the mortals personally.
Well, no, because the gods have to care more about it than the players, by and large, right? Because the gods are the ones telling their servants to go on it or helping them out. Like,
if St. Mount Vesuvius was about to destroy Pompeii, the gods might be concerned, but a mortal who lives there is going to be fatally concerned. Like, they will care more than the god themselves.
Right, but isn't the whole point that the gods you're sending your servants on quests, kind of?
Yeah.
So I feel like there has to be some, like some reasoning. And this might actually be kind of
I think this is what we should focus on today. I think we should talk about this specific, as we said in the stream of consciousness document, which I'm looking at right now. Maybe we should go in order the next couple of episodes we do here, at least for now. I think we should, how does the GM create a problem? Introduce and discuss the problem. Let's try and nail down this phase.
Yeah, the first phase. Yeah, and maybe that would be a good doc to start. It's just
do you want to create a new doc really quick?
Yeah, sure.
I suppose I could too.
Are you going to do it then?
Yeah, I will do it. Okay, so I will call it... I don't know what I'm going to call it. What should I call it? Phase 1.
Yeah.
Introduction of a problem. All right.
I still think you could, even if we're going with a more lethal system, I still think you could unlock, switch, or introduce your... Well, maybe not introduce, but let's say you could unlock... Characters can be unlocked or switched during a session. Or something like that. Because I still think that would be fine. If a person had a way to, like... You had a way to, like... You know... Like... I don't know. Switching's kind of hard though, because that could be like very swingy.
Well, let's not put to tie back to last episode. Let's not put the cart before the horse here. Let's.
Well, yeah. I'm just trying to
define...
leave like relevant notes, so like
sure.
we don't leave notes that are like we don't agree with, you know. But yeah. I'll leave it now for now though.
Yeah.
I don't think there's. I'm just gonna say introductory phase for the servants if they are new.
Yeah.
Because I think that's still maybe something we could do, but yeah. Okay. All right,
okay.
Cool. I'll go to the other doc now.
So I made a new document called Phase 1, Introduction to Problem. And I have some questions here. See, I'm just writing questions that I have, and then by us answering these questions, we should be able to make the rules.
Right.
What other questions can you think of?
Maybe like, okay, how does GM introduce a problem? What does a problem look like? Do the gods have any reaction for this problem? Maybe how does the problem hurt the gods, or why do they care about it?
Yeah.
Does the problem impact any of the gods' servants?
I have one.
Do they care about it at all? Oh, yeah.
What other questions might we have?
Introduce it. What does it look like?
Well, this might be a good place to start. I'll leave these questions at the top, and then as we answer them, we can delete them, and we can also add more questions. Mechanics. All right. So let's start from the first one. How does the GM introduce a problem?
So I feel like okay, here I guess.
Or maybe this is a better one to start with. What does a problem look like? Okay, I think a problem has a geographical location, right, on the island of whatever. So I think a.
Does it though? Like, what if it's like someone stole something and they're on the run or something like that?
But where do they steal it? Right. I think it has to have a location, right?
Right.
Because it's not happening nowhere; it's happening somewhere. A problem has a geographical location. I'm just trying to like define what a problem is, so that we know what needs to be, what the GM needs to share.
Maybe better just to say like a problem exists in the mortal. The problem exists in the mortal realm or something.
Yeah, definitely in the mortal world.
Maybe this like it. Because I'm thinking like okay, it doesn't have to have started there. However, and I was thinking like,
oh, like it could start
stealing the fire from like, you know, Apollo's chair. I don't know. This is like not even a thing, but like
it was stolen from Hephaestus's fortress.
Okay, well you can write that then.
I'm misspelling that, but whatever.
Right.
Exactly. So the GM could say, the fire has been stolen from the forge of Hephaestus and brought to somewhere. Okay, cool. It affects. I think a problem always affects the mortal world. Am I wrong in saying that?
World. Yeah, I think. I think it should always affect both, right? But I don't.
Maybe.
I'm trying to think about how. Okay, and you're. We want this to be like. We want them to have. If we're not going to give them exact things to say, we have to give them good tools to make their own problem. So we can't just say like, because I feel like a cheap thing.
We need to create tools. Yeah, that's
a cheap thing is like you're making put all this time into your god. Your god is the mainstay of this universe. Your god is like he's not going anywhere. Your god's the one who you want to care about it.
Yeah.
His servants are just his hands. So I feel like more than anything, the gods need to care about the problem.
Yeah, definitely.
So I feel like maybe there's some way that I'm trying to think of some way that the GM could like give a way that players would care about this, right? Like,
yo, what if? All right, you know how in a couple different cultures, I'm thinking mainly of like Norse ones right now. In Norse culture, for example, there's Ragnarok. That will happen one day. There'll be this big battle and evil will win, right?
Right.
What if every session there's a chance that this doomsday clock from Blades in the Dark will fill up? And by somehow, if badness happens, if evil wins out, the doomsday clock for the gods increases.
I like that, but remember, I like the idea. I don't like the idea that there has to be evil, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So I agree. I was thinking that too. That like maybe there's like some like global like problem. But I almost feel like there could be. That's not something you're going to want to tick with every mission, right?
It doesn't
like,
have to be evil. It just means like the end of the world, basically.
Right, but I'm saying like sometimes like your missions might not want to always have such like high stakes. For like
true.
Like sometimes a mission could be as simple as like this god, slept with this other god, and like, they like, and then his like, it's whatever your god's wife or something, and like I don't know, and like that god is like hiding, goes and like I don't know, you make some like more,
Well, so maybe the GM starts by picking one of the servants belonging to one of the gods, right? And maybe it's so Hunter. Maybe you have to steal from Moana. Maybe I'm the GM Hunter, and you have Moana as one of your servants. And I'm saying on Moana's home island there is a famine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the introduction of my problem. Now you immediately care. Okay? You care like right away.
Right, but why do I care? Because like again, like what if I'm the god of like oceans, right? And Moana's one of my followers. I might have like several followers across several different islands. Like, why do I really care that much about one? I mean, maybe I do care about it, but you know what? Like, how do you get other gods to care about it too?
Yeah, right? We're answering. Yeah. This is definitely a hard one because this is buy-in, right? In D&D,
like I almost feel like
gold.
Sorry.
But we don't have those resources, gods, of like XP and gold.
I almost feel like what it would be is like this is what a problem is like stealing the fire from Hephaestus's forges, and like somehow there's a way to like the GM.
But why would all the gods care about that too?
Right, so that's what I'm saying. Is like somehow there's a way to say like there's a way to say here's what this is doing in the mortal world that's bad, and here's what's doing in the god world that's bad. In the mortal world right now, no one can forge anything, or everything that's forged comes out as brittle or something like that. And then that might be a problem where like some players, like one player might be like a apple farmer and he's like, I don't care. It's like, but like another player might be a blacksmith and he's like, what the, I care a ton about that. Another guy's a soldier who like needs it. And then the gods, and then you have a way where you say, and in the godly realm, currently, Hephaestus is so upset that he's not, he's like, you almost make like the problem in the godly realm like some sort of like more like petty bullshit where it's like the god is like
he's
not
grumpy and he
speaking.
went on vacation. Yeah.
Right, he went grumpy on vacation and he's not gonna like do something for you which is gonna like affect you. Like it has to have an effect. I feel like there has to be a. I mean, I don't know if it like. I mean, maybe this is what we should ask too, right? Is like, are problems? Is there always just one problem every session, and the people have to do it, or is it like there's multiple problems
Ooh.
and they can pick one, or
I like that
maybe.
idea.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe they compound if you don't do them, or they cause like spin-off or something like that.
Well, and also there could be the thing if we have multiple problems, it actually solves the issue of buy-in because, no man is an army, and it could be the thing where let's say there's many problems right now, and you and I, Hunter, are the players, and we make the agreement. Listen, I will help you get your fire back, Hephaestus, but then you got to help me with something else, my problem that's going on Earth next. You know what I mean? So you almost
right.
make the, you almost have to make agreements with players like, I'll help you, but then, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. Might have to be how it goes.
Oh, wait,
what if the GM... Wait. Okay, we're going to say the same thing here, I think.
Okay.
What if the GM makes one problem for each god, and then one problem for one of each god's servants? So each player basically has two problems that relate directly to them at any one time.
So, wait, but how would they? But then that you just made like tons of little missions, right?
I didn't say that they were little.
Well, yeah, but like, wouldn't that be like, what if I'm playing with 3 people and each one has 2 followers? That's
sorry, I meant
9 problems.
No, sorry, I misspoke.
Yeah.
Each god, so Zeus has a problem going on and Hades has a problem going on. Also, Hunter, you have 6 servants. I, as the GM, am going to pick one of your servants to have a problem.
Okay.
So maybe just Hercules and Zeus have a problem for you, and for another player,
That's still a lot of problems to come up with as a GM, right?
I mean, yeah. But only like one problem is going to get solved each session. Well, so once you've done the initial workload.
What if like to build off of that? What I was going to say was like, what if there's there's mortal world problems and immortal world problems, and there's some way, and they don't have to sound similar at first. Like they all can sound, and like it almost can be like okay, Moana, in your village there's a plague, in this other person, the horses are going lame. Another one, you're infertile or so, I don't know, or something like that.
Yeah.
And then your god has other problems, but there's somehow like a way to connect them or something like that. And then like,
oh my god,
solving them.
You're right. That is good because we want them to. It feels bigger and more connected when it's like that. You're right. Oh my gosh. What's really funny, and like we are clearly hitting a roadblock here of some sort, and that's okay.
Right.
And I think the reason is we are trying to come up with a way to mechanize the creation of myths and stories that are thousands of years old.
Right.
So it's okay that this is difficult because we're trying to mechanize creation of creative problem or creative.
We're trying to like reverse engineer like religion essentially by like looking at stories,
exactly.
But. What I think, in the spirit of what we've agreed upon, what if we just said problems? We should chiefly make it that problems affect the gods, and the servants are just lowly peons who maybe there's some way later on we can work in little ways that the problems affect the mortal world. But I almost feel like we should just entirely steer away from having the problems affect the mortal world. The problems are immortal
I raised
problems.
You this then. In the Moana example, how would that fit in?
Because isn't she guided by it says the ocean chooses Moana, a daughter of person, to return the heart of Fitidi.
Oh, okay.
So the ocean is telling them to go do that. Moana doesn't necessarily want to leave.
That's great. So what if... Okay. I'm going to start a new paragraph here. the problem starts with the immortal plane, immortal world. And then as the problem is explored and solved by the servants, we see its effects on the mortal world.
Oh.
So, for example, the GM would introduce this problem where really the problem as the gods are seeing it is that the heart of the ocean is stolen from for TT or whatever it was.
Right.
But then once activate Moana, and then you see, and it's actually causing this blight, and these people can't explore the ocean, and we see that it's actually causing some significant problems down here that the gods don't necessarily really give a crap about. The gods just want this necklace to go back to the god, whatever it is.
Right, and that's kind of reflecting like the god. I feel like the problems with the gods should almost be petty, right? Like
so
it's
really,
like
so this sentence I'm just going to highlight. I can delete because while that is true, it's less so. We can delete that just for now. Okay, let's start over. This is better where we're at now.
Right. The problem starts the immortal world. As problems explored and solved, we see its effects on the mortal world.
Yep.
Okay.
The problem could often be something seemingly petty between immortal world characters, but will have large effects on the mortal world, right?
Right,
so
exactly.
Maybe like, if you were to take Vesuvius, maybe, the god of volcanoes is in a grumpy mood and for some stupid reason, and then in the mortal world, you're like, oh my god, Pompeii's going to go under.
Oh, that would be great. Like, it would be like in the immortal world, it's like Vesuvius is grumpy and can only be cheered up by, like a tickle on his foot from a feather of the phoenix or something.
So you gotta send your hero to go get the feather from the phoenix and bring it back before, yeah.
Right, and so and that's how you could bring some more lightheartedness in. Is like it's kind of stupid when you think about it in the god realm, but then in the mortal realm, it's much more like impactful because, like you said, all the volcanoes are like awakening and
And it could be something more serious. It could be something where, Hades has declared war on Mount Olympus. It could be something as serious as that. And then you'd see like apocalypse level stuff happening in the mortal world, which would also be really cool to play in.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Like as the problems get bigger, it's correlated with. Yeah.
Oh, whoa. And we discussed having like the GM might need some tools. What if the GM has almost a resource that the GM can use to create problems of different scopes? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Like, I feel like there's got to be a series of questions or something like that would help you or.
Yeah.
I'm trying to.
A series of questions to help the GM identify the problem and all who it affects. Yeah, definitely. So that's important. Oops. Yeah, okay. That's cool. So I'm going to put an example here. Example would be, I'll even do this in italics. The god Vesuvius is upset. He can only be made happy if he is tickled by the feather of the phoenix. Okay, that's stupid, but yeah, he's stupid. The mortals, right? So that would be like the problem introduced.
Well, I think maybe one thing that we should say, and before to kind of keep it, I know we're kind of tightening up the world here.
Oh, I can't hear you for some reason.
Oh, hello.
Uh-oh. Hold on. Hello?
Hello?
Well, I can't hear you, so I assume you are speaking. Wait, type something on the document if you are speaking right now. Okay, I can't hear you. Let me just try to leave the call and rejoin really quick. All right, how about now?
Can you hear me? I can hear you.
Oh no, bother. Well, I can't hear you. They might be able to hear you in the podcast. Maybe just type in the document for a second for me. Yes or no, do you think this is a good place to leave off for now? Okay. Sorry, everybody, and I can see when you're talking. I just don't know what you're saying. Can't hear a word of it. Maybe you guys can hear this at home. Hunter, do you have any final thoughts that you want to share?
Can you hear me? No?
Okay, I assume you said something like, no, I'm good, because that's what the wave patterns look like there.
No, I'm trying to type something, Jordan.
We will sign up. I know it ended with kind of a weird technical difficulty, but we did get into our normal time range. So thank you, everybody, for listening.